Hi everyone! So today's video topic is going to be about everyday acts of vulnerability. And the reason I chose this topic for today is because I think it's so important to put ourselves in situations that make us feel vulnerable. And why I think that is because when you put yourself in a vulnerable situation, you allow yourself the space to grow and to say no to safety. And the reason why most of us really don't ever put ourselves in vulnerable situations or do things that make us feel vulnerable is because we value our safety way too much. We value our comfort zone more than we value the opportunity to grow. Being vulnerable is making the choice to step outside the boundaries you have created for yourself. And the reasons we create these boundaries in the first place is because when we create boundaries, that means you have incubated yourself into this beautiful bubble of security and safety, which you think is what you need in order to make you feel happy, in order for you to feel alive, in order for you to live out your potential. But what you're actually doing is really just limiting yourself and really just putting yourself essentially in a cage and holding yourself hostage because you don't want to do anything that will threaten your safety or that will threaten how you feel. Every single thing we do in our lives is a matter of safety. And we spend majority of our lives creating and protecting that safety and security because we feel like when we are safe and secure, that means we're in control. We got everything figured out. But you're hurting yourself the most when you do that because you're limiting yourself to all the endless array of possibilities and your own potential to maximize your experiences in this lifetime. And when I say everyday acts of vulnerability, that means choosing consciously every day to put yourself in a vulnerable situation or do something that is vulnerable to you. That may be saying hi to a stranger, smiling at a stranger, acknowledging that there is a person on the train next to you and asking them how their day is. That means vlogging or blogging, creating that blog or that YouTube channel you've always wanted to do, reaching out to a friend you haven't spoken to in over a year. The most vulnerable thing you can do is stand up for yourself. And when you choose to stand up for yourself, you're consciously choosing to place an emphasis on who you are and live your life from an authentic place. Because when something isn't in alignment with who you are, that's the reason why we stand up for ourselves in the first place. And that can be very nerve-wracking and very vulnerable because we don't know how someone else will take it. We cannot control another person's experiences. We cannot control how another person will think or take it. The only person or the only thing we can control is how we choose to feel about what's happening and what meaning we choose to give to those experiences in which we have to stand up for who we are. When you consciously decide to put yourself in vulnerable situations, you're breaking the mold and those boundaries you put yourself into. You're choosing to release your potential. You're choosing to release all these limiting beliefs you have about yourself. You're choosing to break the chains you've put yourself behind or you've locked yourself up in because you feel that you need to be a certain way in order to feel safe and secure because you want to protect yourself. But the only person you're protecting is your ego because your ego loves that. It wants to keep you hostage. It doesn't want you to grow because growing means that you're going to change. Your perspective about yourself changes. Your perspective about the world changes. You have a better appreciation and better respect for who you are. You value yourself enough to put yourself in vulnerable situations because you know that's going to only harbor more love and more compassion to come your way because when you are in vulnerable situations, you're allowing yourself to grow. And the point of life is growth. And when you're not growing, you're staying still. I want you to pick 3 things that are an everyday act of vulnerability. And here are my 3 things. Smiling at a stranger, complimenting someone I meet somewhere, in the elevator, sitting next to me on the train, someone I've just met, and putting myself out there in a way that I'm expressing more of who I am, whether it's through what I wear or trying something new. For example, something that I've never done before, which I chose to do because I needed to put myself in a vulnerable situation, because that's the only way that would create room for growth, is the free hugs event that I attended. And if you want to watch that experience, I'll leave it in the description box below. You can check out everything to do with that. So pick 3 things that you can do every single day to create kind of like this habit of starting to break away from these boundaries and these limiting situations you put yourself into. When you choose to be vulnerable, you're creating awareness around what is not working in your life. That's the reason you're making that choice to be in a vulnerable place or feel vulnerable, because you know something's not working and something's got to change. And it takes a lot of courage to put yourself in a vulnerable situation. And we think that if we put ourselves in a vulnerable situation, people will laugh at us, people will make fun of us. But you know what? It's actually a very admirable thing. People look up to you. That's where most people look at you and be like, that's such an inspiring thing that person did, or I'm so inspired by them. View yourself as an unlimited vessel of potential, and all you want to do is release all this amazingness within you out into the world and share that. Do things that scare you, do things that ignite that passion within you. Step outside of this mold of who you think you are and start retelling and rewording the story that you've been telling yourself. And the only way you'll be able to do that is when you consciously make the choice to grow. When you consciously understand that being vulnerable is actually a very, very good thing. I hope that you will perform an act of vulnerability, if not every day, once a week. And I hope you found this video useful. I recently just launched a blog where I will be writing about personal growth, spirituality, self-development, self-actualization, any of these topics. And if you want to check it out, please do. If you want to, please follow me on Twitter also. And thank you for taking the time to watch. Bye!